This team sucks.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a criminally addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about yet another offensive disaster, yet another wasted great start, yet another horrible weekend series. But hey, there's a new character here that we are going to celebrate before we get into the garbage that happened the last 4 days. And we'll see if this podcast actually makes it to air and my Wi-Fi doesn't actively attack me like it did on Monday, cutting out 4 different times when I was trying to record this show. So we'll see if we actually get through this. But let's talk about the one good thing that's happened for the Texas Rangers in the last, I don't know, week, month. It feels like nothing's good has happened for this team since that 2023 World Series championship. But Alejandro Osuna is a big leaguer, and that is a good thing. He made his big league debut on Sunday. The Rangers DFA'd Kevin Pillar because if you're on the roster to only hit lefties and you cannot hit lefties and you cannot hit righties and you cannot really do much else, that is a recipe for a DFA. Now, Alejandro Osuna, I do not think will single-handedly fix this offense. Obviously, the team is 1-1 in his games. He is 2 for his first 6 plate appearances, also worked a 7-pitch walk in his first at-bat. And so far this year in the minor leagues, I saw him, and he looked pretty good. Not outstanding, not someone who I thought was coming in and immediately fix this offense, but he's that kind of a spark plug player that this Rangers team hasn't really had on the roster in a minute. Now, I think of myself as a pretty progressive, pretty new school, pretty analytically minded person, especially when it comes to analyzing baseball. But the most old school thing about me is I think that every team that's worth something needs somebody with that edge, somebody who I would describe as a scrappy underdog, bulldog mentality, just someone who's got that little bit of an edge. And this Rangers team in 2023, they didn't really have that. In the 2010s, they had Ian Kinsler, definitely a guy with a little bit of grit under his skin. In years past, they've had other guys like, Hank Blylock kind of has a little bit of that edge, that tenacity. I mean, even Pudge had a little bit of that tenacity, not quite a scrappy player, but someone who brings that fire, that energy, that spark, like a Chase Utley, like a Brett Boone back when he was with the Seattle Mariners. Just somebody who has just that little needling something, that little bit of life force, because this team has felt so incredibly dead. And Alejandro Osuna definitely provides that. We saw that in spring training, how the team just raved about him, his energy, how he plays the game with fearless, reckless abandon. I mean, Bruce Bochy was so incredibly impressed with him. I'm surprised a little bit that he didn't make the roster out of camp, but he's still so far away from the big leagues. It's not like what he did in the minors this year just lit the world on fire. I mean, he looked pretty good in 8 games in Round Rock. In 8 games in Round Rock, he had a 918 OPS, a 474 on base percentage, and a 444 slugging percentage. And I saw him in Frisco the first couple of weeks. He didn't look particularly great. Then he turned it on late and had a 772 OPS in 31 games. So in the minors combined, an 800 OPS on the season, a 386 on base percentage. And that's what this team needs, especially when you saw the slog that they did on Monday, on Memorial Day. I mean, oof. My goodness, 5 hits, no walks in that one. And I mean, Kevin Gausman was able to just breeze through 8 innings on 96 pitches because this team was just putting every single first pitch into play and doing nothing with it. And so Ozuna, is he going to be an everyday player for now? Yeah, I think so. And seeing White Langford make the switch to center field, I think it is overdue. And I think it came in part because of the worst inning of baseball I think I've ever seen. We'll talk about that in the second segment because I'm trying to keep it happy for about, 5 minutes is about my limit with how bad this team has been. It has just been so incredibly infuriating. But it is exciting to see Alejandro Osuna get his first couple of base knocks. 2 of the 5 hits that the Rangers tallied in this one. One of the other ones was provided by Wyatt Langford, who hit his 10th home run of the season. An absolute just laser beam missile off of his bat. He's been in a rough way. Heck, you could say that about basically everybody in this lineup right now is in a rough way, aside of Josh Young, who was in a rough way last night or yesterday afternoon with an 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. But overall, he's been very, very solid the last couple of weeks. Jake Berger has been incredibly solid the last couple of weeks, including providing a couple of home runs as of late that have been real sparks for this offense. He was 0 for 4 as well. Just a whole lot of nothing from this offense, as we have seen time and time again. And it was just a really weird game yesterday. I mean, a great inning, a great outing from the bullpen. It was just one of the weirder starts I've ever seen from Jacob deGrom. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was fine. It was on the verge of good, but 5 1/3 innings with 0 strikeouts is just not something you really ever see from Jacob deGrom. Makes me think that there was maybe something a little bit off. I mean, he only allowed 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings. He walked 2, but he just did not look like himself in that one. But the bullpen came in and was able to step up and limit the damage. I mean, finishing off this game without allowing another run, which this bullpen sure has had a week the last week, including moving Luke Jackson out of the closer's role, which I think was a little bit overdue. Maybe the Rangers would have had a few more runs here and there, but I mean, still, it's not like this offense that they were facing was incredibly impressive. They matched just 2 runs for the Blue Jays offense. They were 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position. They looked like the Raiders offense, except just that little bit better. Just a little bit. That's all they really needed to beat this Rangers team that is just in such an incredibly rough way. It's hard to watch this team at this point. Honestly, it's pretty miserable watching this team. I get paid to watch this team and talk about this team. I absolutely love baseball, but this team is making me hate it. Honestly, it is incredibly infuriating to watch this team over and over and over again do the same dang thing for a year and a half now at this point, and try and figure out something to say and try and figure out what's going on, trying to find that little extra edge, because I can't do it. I can't find anything. I found nothing, which is what this offense is. Nothing. It's garbage. It makes no sense. I don't understand how every single hitter in the entire lineup can go ice cold at the same time and stay ice cold for 50-something games. We're a third of the way into the season, and this team has nothing. They have not changed at all from last year, except now the pitching staff's good, so you're giving yourself a chance, and they're making it more painful, more infuriating to watch, more upsetting when they score 1, 2, 0 runs, which happens in basically every single game. It is just, ugh. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of this offense, of this stupid team, of this infuriating stretch of baseball that makes me filled with anxiety and frustrations and anger every time I turn on the TV. I don't like this. This is not fun. I say, don't forget to enjoy baseball, but I can't enjoy this baseball. Heck, this team is so bad and so infuriating, I can't enjoy other baseball. I'm not turning on the TV to watch a bunch of other games all day long, all night long after the Rangers are done like I normally do. I'm just turning it off. I'm saying, okay, I'm done with my 3 hours of pain and frustration and confusion for the day. Now it's time to go do something else while I'm still angry about my stupid baseball team being awful. I mean, this is my livelihood here, and I'm so frustrated. Nobody cares about this team anymore because this team sucks. And I'm trying to find a way to get people to care about this team, to listen to what I have to say about this team, to think more about this baseball team. It almost feels cruel at this point for me to ask you, the listener, hey, why don't you think more about this crappy baseball team that can't do nothing and is just absolutely infuriating? I feel like it's malpractice. I feel like it's just mean of me to ask you to care, because it feels like these guys don't. I know they do, but just watching it, the same thing over and over and over again. No Brett Boone, no mystery hitting coach, no nothing it feels like can turn this team around, because they just have nothing at this point. And even this loss on Monday wasn't the worst thing to happen since the last time I talked to this microphone. We're talking about the worst inning of baseball I've ever seen in my life. Right after this. This show is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Shout out to the Everydayers for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you are, oh my goodness, God bless you. God bless you for making this your listen every single day, thinking about this silly baseball team. And if you want even more of this team, if you want to vent out your frustrations and just sit in the muck and the mire after every single game, Jeff Biggs is with you with a Locked On Rangers postcast in your Locked On Rangers feed on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Now, on Saturday, this was the most infuriating game of baseball I've ever watched. Not the worst, not the most miserable, not the most upsetting and deeply saddening. No, this is the most visceral anger I've ever felt while watching an inning of baseball. You may know what I'm talking about. If you don't and you didn't watch this weekend against the White Sox, you're a better person for it. Honestly, your life is markedly improved if you did not watch this game. I hope you didn't watch this game. I hope you didn't watch this inning if you did watch this game. I hope you saved yourself. I hope you went and, took a walk and smelled some flowers. I hope you, pet a dog. I hope you, spent time with your loved ones, watched a funny movie, did literally anything else. You could have paid your taxes. It would have been more enjoyable than watching this inning of baseball in the sixth inning, the bottom of the sixth inning, to be specific. Now, Jack Leiter had a decent outing in this one. Not a great one, not even a good one, but seeing him battle back, I'd rather see him have more starts where he's not getting himself into trouble than getting him out. It's better than where he was before of getting himself into trouble and not being able to get himself out. But I'd rather see him have some more starts like that near no-hitter where he's just cruising and cruising and cruising and doesn't have to, face adversity sometimes that he foists upon himself. But 5 walks and 6 hits and 1 home run in 5 innings, you only allowed 2 runs. That's incredibly impressive, especially when you only had 3 strikeouts in this one. He just kept getting into jam after jam after jam, and for the most part, getting himself out to the point where the Rangers had the lead. I was a little surprised he went back out there for that 5th inning because he just did not have his stuff. He did not have really any feel for that curveball, it felt like, and the feel for the slider also wasn't particularly great, but not having feel for those 2 pitches and still being able to rattle off 3 strikeouts and 5 innings of 2-run ball, that's what big league starters do. And he left this game with a 4-2 lead. In comes the bottom of the 6th inning. On comes Hobie Milner. And from the get-go, immediately, there is trouble. One of the stupidest plays I've seen the Texas Rangers ever make. And Austin Slater would somehow rule the triple. I do not understand how anyone in their right mind can watch this play and rule it a triple. Sam Haggerty and Wyatt Langford combine into one person, and one person who cannot catch one baseball. It was in the glove of Sam Haggerty, and he comes crashing in to Wyatt Langford, who looked like he had the ball. And then later on comes in Sam Haggerty, and they collapse and drop the ball. And boom, immediately with a 2-run lead, Austin Slater is on third base with a ball that is ruled somehow a triple by the grace of God. His OPS is now significantly improved because of an official scorer who has never watched a baseball game, I'm assuming. Then Chase Maedroth hits a ball to Josh Young, right to Josh Young. And so the runner from third isn't allowed to score. It should be an out, but Maedroth runs decently well Josh kind of bobbles it, kind of doesn't get a great handle on it, and throws to first base, and Mydroth is safe in what is ruled. That's ruled an error. Sure. Then you have runners on first and third with no outs. On comes Mike Talkman. He hits a weak ground ball to Marcus Semien, who it looks like maybe he can turn two. Maybe he can get Chase Mydroth and tag him out and then throw the ball to first base. But Mydroth just barely avoids the tag. And then Mike Talkman, who runs well, beats out the throw. So the run scores, and there are 3 batters faced. Should have been 3 easy outs. Instead, that is not the case. That's the day for Hoby Milner. He faced 3 batters, should have gotten 3 outs, and instead doesn't. And then what happens next is somehow even worse. Jacob Webb comes on, gets a ground out. Okay, there's at least 1 out in the inning. And finally, there's an out in the inning, and nobody's scored. It's a miracle. And then he faces Andrew Benintendi. Double, single, strikeout, walk, double, walk, ground out. That's the end of the inning. Oh, and by the way, in there, he had also been pulled from this game. You come in, you face 7 batters, I think it is. He got 2 outs. He walked 2. He allowed 3 hits. Just an awful inning of work set up by complete incompetence, followed up by bullpen incompetence, and just an incredibly infuriating, winnable game. The Rangers scored 5 runs in that game. It wasn't the offense's fault. It was the defense's fault. The defense that had been incredible up to that point. The Rangers were the best team in terms of defensive runs saved as a team, and it wasn't particularly close. They've been playing great defense, but then the bullpen lets up 8 runs in 3 innings. Now, the defense definitely helped with at least 3 of those, but the rest of those runs, that's on the bullpen. That's on Jacob Webb. That's on, Caleb Bosley. That's on, well, not really on Luke Jackson at that point. He faced 2 hitters. He walked 1 and he got 1 out. He didn't allow a run. That's the best performance of any pitcher in this game. It was just, actually, no. Hoby Milner had the best performance because he pitched to 3 batters and it should have been 3 outs. But then at that point, the game's done. The game's over. You're down 8-4 at that point, and the Rangers already scored 4 runs, and a couple of those came on defensive help from the White Sox. I mean, the Rangers had their best day with runners in scoring position in what felt like months, and they were 3 for 12 and left 8 on base. It was not a particularly inspiring day there. At least with this game, it gave me something new to talk about, some new type of loss to talk about, which is what I was asking them for, but it's just incredibly infuriating. It felt like the one thing that had been going okay for this team had been one of the 2 things that had been going well for this team. The defense, it didn't go well. Heck, on Friday in that game that Tyler Mahle started, he was not great. I knew eventually that the regression would come for him. And if he doesn't have his splitter, he is helpless. And he did not have his splitter in this one. Still went 5 innings of 3-run ball. And well, the bullpen held up in that one, 3 innings of shutout baseball. Well, near shutout. They had an unearned run, of course, allowed by Caleb Bosley in his 1 inning of work. But the offense couldn't do anything at all in that one. Outside of what should have been a 2 RBI double had it been for a little bit better base running and a little bit more favorable replay review for the Rangers, it's just a whole lot of nothing. I mean, Josh Young was able to reach base 4 straight times. He had his first 3-walk game as a, I'm pretty sure, professional, let alone in the big leagues, also piled on a double in that one. But again, the Rangers had 3 hits in that one. 3 hits in one game. How you can expect to win in that one, no matter how well your starting pitching is doing? You could throw a perfect game and you have 3 hits, and it would be very difficult to win that game in 9 innings. It is just so infuriating to watch this team that I don't know what more to say about this game. It is just, there's not much more to say about this team except for what they did, salvaging a win, ending their longest losing streak of the season on Sunday. They were able to pile on 5 runs, which is a miracle because they only had 1 home run and they went 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Even in the games that they won, it was still a really, really close slog. Robert Garcia got his second save of the season. Even that was really, really close. He came in and he allowed, two doubles pretty quickly. And if not for a base running guffaw of the highest magnitude from Michael A. Taylor, the Rangers might have lost that one too in extra innings. I swear I would be so beside myself, even more so than I am now, had the Rangers lost that one. But hey, at least the bullpen held up in that game. A decent outing by Patrick Corbin goes 5 innings and 5 1/3 innings, allows 3 runs, a couple of those off of solo homers, and struck out 6. Luke Jackson came in lower leverage situation. I think that's where he's going to stay for probably the rest of the season. I think Robert Garcia should be closing out games from here on out. He has been the one of 2 extremely reliable Rangers relievers. The other is Chris Martin. I don't know how both of them have a negative WAR on the season, but here we are at this point. You take what you can get with this team, but it has just been so infuriating. Is there any hope? Is there any help along the way? Well, we did get some good news about Corey Seager. Talk about if that can fix this completely busted, broken offense. And of course, one more major injury that happened this weekend, right after this. Now, the Rangers have quite a few injured players at this point, and they got one more this weekend with Joc Pederson, who was struck in the hand by a pitch. He has a broken hand, and, well, that's not great. That's not ideal. We know how bad broken hands / wrists can be. There are so many bones in the hand and the wrist. This is a devastating blow for the Texas Rangers. Not that Joc Pederson has been instrumental in this Rangers offense being good, because he hasn't and they aren't, but the Rangers needed a good Joc Pederson, a healthy, good, confident Joc Pederson. Maybe this time on the IL. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but maybe this time can help him just reset mentally, because he, like basically everyone in this lineup, has been an absolute mess in their own minds lately at the plate. It has just been horrible and contagious. And, well, you thought maybe he could swing his way out of it. That, yeah, bats have been looking better. He at least been walking this season. He hadn't been hitting the ball with power just at all. He just had not been hitting the ball. So maybe this gives him a chance to reset. And the Rangers, they have had some offensive spark when they had Corey Seager in the lineup. And the good news is he is swinging the bat. He is doing baseball activities, and he will hopefully return to this lineup, which hopefully will give Josh Smith some time off. Smith has been just in a awful way for the last 3 weeks or so. It has been honestly pretty brutal. For the first month of the season, he was great, but in May, he has been just really bad. Frankly, really bad. He's hitting 225 with a 276 on base percentage for the month, and slugging under 350. I mean, the last 28 days, he has got a 662 OPS. It's not great. The last 14 days, he's hitting 119. In the last week, he's hitting 083 in 7 games. It has been brutal at the top of the lineup. And the Rangers going with him in the 2-hole. With him in the 2-hole and Sam Haggerty is your leadoff guy. I mean, you have a good stretch for 3 days and you get put in this spot. I mean, Bruce Bochy's been a guy who doesn't really tinker with the lineup, but it's been so bad and it's been so desperate to get anything going. There's been a whole lot of tinkering with this lineup, because he didn't tinker for the first 3-4 weeks of the season. Then he started tinkering. He hasn't stopped. Hopefully we can get Corey Seager back at some point this week. That is the report, that Corey Seager will be back at some point this week. Maybe he will just be DHing. Maybe that's what the Rangers will do with their DH spot. Maybe they will. When you have Sam Haggerty DHing, it's not really a great use of him. He is a decent defender out there in center field and in a corner, and also I think at second. I haven't seen him play second, but he seems to be a decent defender wherever he is, of putting up half decent plate appearances. But maybe they will keep Josh Smith in the lineup. Maybe they will give him some more days off to just reset and kind of force his way back into this lineup. But every single bat they add back, it is just Corey Seager. Just adding Corey Seager back, maybe this offense can get its mojo back, because it feels like whenever he's gone, it's like the Yankees with Aaron Judge. I mean, a couple years ago when Aaron Judge missed a big chunk of the season, they couldn't do anything. The offense just dried up. It was like, okay, well, the one guy who does anything is gone. And so now it's up to all of us to try harder to do better. And everyone's putting way more pressure on themselves. And I think Wyatt Langford, especially, of him being the best hitter in this lineup and the way he's being pitched, the way he's putting pressure on himself, and the way it feels like he's also in his head, even with this homer this weekend. In the last couple of weeks, his at bats have been really bad. A lot of strikeouts just a lot of strikeouts in general, expanding his zone, just bad swing decisions in general, swinging at bad pitches, not swinging at good pitches. It's just been incredibly infuriating to watch. And Seager, the Rangers need his bat so incredibly badly just to limp their way into some of these runs. Just a little bit more offensive juice there at the top of this lineup, at the point where I don't know if this fixes it. It can't make it any worse. It really can't. It'd be really, really difficult for this offense to get any worse. This is honestly one of the worst offenses I've ever watched. And it's some of the most talented hitters in the league, guys who have been proven, who have been good for so long, to all be this bad collectively in the clutch, in the moment where they need to drive somebody in. I don't know how it keeps happening. Eventually, theoretically, mathematically, the dam should break. And when it does, it will be an outpouring of runs, the likes of which we've never seen. But math isn't mathing right now. Statistics and probability and what should happen isn't happening. It still hasn't been happening all season long. Maybe the Rangers will get some help with Evan Carter. He started running again. He's been swinging the bat already, taking some batting practice, doing a little bit of drills out there in the field. The thought is this weekend, he should be going on a rehab assignment. We'll see when exactly the Rangers get him back into this lineup. Hopefully that will help. Maybe just give some more days off for either Dolis Garcia or move Wyatt Langford back to left field, because him being out there in center is the best choice for this defense right now, especially if Alejandro Osuna is going to be playing out there every single day in the outfield. He's much better in a corner. He is not as good as Wyatt Langford. He doesn't have nearly as much speed as Wyatt Langford or cover as much ground as Wyatt Langford. I think that Wyatt Langford should have been playing center field all along. Even when Evan Carter comes back, maybe you make the switch out there. But I think that is just hopefully going to add some kind of spark to this offense, because it's right back to where it was. It doesn't feel like Brett Boone has made any impact whatsoever. It doesn't seem like firing Donnie Ecker has made any impact whatsoever. It doesn't seem like trading away Leo Taveras has made any impact whatsoever. I mean, the defense has been slightly better, but that's about it. This offense still stinks. Maybe they'll get some help when they get Kumar Rocker back. Maybe he'll help with this bullpen that has been forced to do a lot of work, a lot of high leverage innings. Rocker, through his first rehab outing on Friday, went 3 scoreless innings with just 2 hits allowed and 3 strikeouts and no walks. Love to see that. The velocity is back where it had been when he was in Frisco the last time, in the mid to upper 90s, looking much, much better. That breaking ball is just, it's unfair for double-A hitters to have to see a breaking ball that good. But again, we'll see how this lineup, this rotation stacks up whenever he gets back, whenever Cody Bradford gets back. I don't think the Rangers would throw Kumar Rocker in the pen. I don't know that they would necessarily move Patrick Corbin to the pen to more of a long roll at this point. I mean, we'll see. I mean, his numbers have been looking a little bit worse. Jack Leiter's numbers have been looking, fine. Neither of them have been particularly overwhelming the last couple of starts. They've been good enough, and I think good enough is a little bit better than what Rocker was providing them early on this season. But this bullpen definitely needs some help for sure. I mean, the amount of games that they've been asking these guys to pitch. I mean, Luke Jackson has been pitched in 21 games. I mean, Hobie Milner, 22 games. Jacob Webb, 22 games. Robert Garcia, 26 games. I mean, Armstrong and Chris Martin, both of them have pitched over 20 games. It has been a lot to ask for all of these guys. They haven't been particularly great outside of Garcia and Martin. Milner's had some moments. His ERA is a little bit inflated because 2 of those 3 runs that he allowed in the 3 outs that he should have gotten counted as earned runs. I don't know why, but they did, because apparently we can just rule things whatever they want now. But this team is just, it's in such a rough way. It is in such an impossibly bad way that, Bowden Francis is probably going to steamroll this team. It's not like he's a particularly incredible pitcher. He's a good pitcher. Don't get me wrong. He's been not great this season. A 5.54 ERA this season in 10 starts. He's gone about 5 innings per start, a negative 0.4 WAR. But I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to come in and steamroll this offense. It is just so unbearable to watch at this point that I'm giving up hope on this team being anything less than what they are right now. A bad offense, a decent pitching staff, and an absolutely infuriating watch. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank you all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, dear Lord, try your best to enjoy baseball.